going to try them out and I'm going to tell you how they work.
Stop!
That's it. I'm done. I'm gone. I'm leaving. That's it. I quit. I'm just completely over it. And I still have a problem because I need your help, NaNoWriMo, and it's going to be a complete disaster. I've been doing Preptober, you've been with me, you've been watching me, I've been doing so much outline. The story is great, I'm extremely excited about it. I don't have a name for my character. I have tried every single questionnaire I can get my hands on. All the basic things that we find in a lot of these questionnaires. Age, name. First question on all these questionnaires is name. I need a name. If you have got a name for my character, please put it in the comments. Help me out. Age, I got it. She's going to be sort of in her mid-30s, I think. I'm going to write these characters a little bit older than usual. Usually write a YA, but this time I think I'm going to write an adult novel. I might rethink this hill. It's going to be fine to go down, but going up's going to be hard. Oh well. Picked out the best of the best of the best questions in those character questionnaires, and I'm going to tell you what the best ones are, starting with Margaret Atwood. Well, one thing on Margaret Atwood's questionnaire that I haven't seen on any other questionnaires is what do they eat? Now, when I thought about this, food is actually a really big deal in a lot of my stories. I usually know how they take their coffee. In my ghost story, Slurpees was huge, and that was an homage to Heather's and blood and all that sort of goody stuff. My character, I'm convinced that she's going to be pretty strong and pretty good, but the money situation is going to be very tight. So when I take her from her country home where she lives with her sister on minimum wage and take her to the heights of Sydney and Brisbane, posh stuff of the elite and the rich in these areas, and the food that is available there, especially fresh seafood and these sorts of things that wouldn't be available readily in a country town, she is going to be completely blown away by this food. It is particularly windy. Tried looking at character like Dan Brown. Again, the same kinds of things. Name, etc. But where Margaret Atwood says, are they in love? Dan Brown asks, have they ever been in love? And this is interesting. It's a slightly different way of looking at the same question. Instead of saying, what's their, like, are they smiley, grumpy? What kind of, basically, I wrote this down as what kind of dwarf are they? How do they feel about other people's points of view? Now, this is interesting because my character is going to be completely obsessed with what people think of her. She wants to be very famous. That's her goal, is to be famous. So in order to be famous, she needs people to like her. Well, that makes a big difference, doesn't it? He also goes deep into antagonists. Now, I don't have a proper antagonist because I'm writing basically a love story. So there's no villain per se, but there is a rival, and the rival of Cinderella. That's not going to be her name. None of my characters have names. Did I mention that? My main character, who I'm still calling MC, main character, because I don't have a name, she is going to feel hard done by. She's going to feel put upon. To counter that, Cinderella is going to have real struggles and really be put upon, and she's going to be a little bit nicer, which will be slightly annoying and doesn't really fit the narrative that my MC is telling herself, that she's hard done by and put upon and lovely and wonderful and charming and should be all these great amazing things. It's gonna be rough. I'm really enjoying that. It's too bad that these people don't have names. Abby Emmons, she's less interested in things like what do they look like and their favorite color and have they been in love. She's more interested in their fear, their misbelief, their desire. So in a lot of the best of the best questionnaires have these things. But what she has that others don't have is a focus on backstory. So like I said, Cinderella is hard done by, but my main character is not so much. Meredith Phillips, no relation, and fellow author tuber here, she pointed out a really great questionnaire, and I've linked that, and also down below is free. That's not good for the phone. Some great questions, like what five things do they say about themselves? But I actually took that a step further, and I was like, well, what 5 things do they say about themselves? And then what 5 things are actually true? And that was hugely opening, and that was great, but didn't get me any closer to a name. Stein has a very small, minuscule questionnaire, and you see that in that R.L. Stein video I made about how to outline like him, of what they look like and their greatest fear and what they want, and again, their name. One of the most different ways of getting into character that I came across, and actually probably the most different way, was Judy Blume. Now, I did a Write Like Judy Blume live a few weeks ago, and you can check out that video there. But Judy Blume had me just write a stream of consciousness as the character, knowing in the back of my head that I'm trying to find the character, but more than not, just trying things out and seeing how this was very valuable. I had written as this character before in my short story, but it was great to break it down and just write. And I wrote just a couple pages, not a lot. I just wrote about what she thinks about her job, because I'd already decided with the Dan Brown that I was going to write about her. She hated her job, so I decided to write about that, and ended up realizing that she uses metaphors and she kind of beats them to death, which is kind of funny. And it's a different way of approaching that character, because in my short story, I did a lot of meta, a lot of sidebar, and I think it really works in the short story, but this is something I had used in the Thing of the Stuff as well. And I had to pull a lot of it out because it was just a little too much. And even still, some readers find it a little too much, all the sidebar. They want to get on with the story. So I decided I'm not going to do as much sidebarring in this character. So I had to find where that tongue-in-cheek voice comes from. And I think it's this hammering home a metaphor. But still, no name. Who else have I got on? Bloom. Neil Gaiman. Now, Neil Gaiman, he gives his characters funny hats, which is just a way of saying what makes them different. So what I've kind of looked at here as my interpretation of that is these characters, most of them are YouTubers. So I've kind of gone through YouTube, and I found different ones that would represent what I think these characters would do as their channel. Cinderella, because I think it's hilarious, is going to have a cleaning channel where she cleans her house. Because I just giggle every time I think of that. And it's going to be like huge, like she's going to have like tens of thousands of followers. Like it's going to be a huge channel of people just watching her clean. But she's not going to show her face. That's key. All these characters need to not show their faces on their channels, with a few exceptions. And the reason for that is because I need to have them not be recognizable when they meet in real life, so that I can have the whole, if the shoe fits, wear it, to be somehow digitally related. But that's not my problem. My problem is, what are their names? I don't even have their YouTube handles. But my main character is going to be inspired by a channel that I love called Overly Sarcastic Productions. So, there's a big hole in the ground. This is what happens when it rains a lot and you don't have asphalt. Sarcastic Productions tells stories like they'll break down elements of storytelling, break down elements of historical significance. The last one I watched was of retelling one of the sagas. It is so much fun. They don't show their faces, but they're lovely, and I love them, and they're hilarious. And that is definitely going to be my inspiration for my main character's channel, which I can't call overly sarcastic because that's taken. So I don't even have a YouTube handle name for her. N.K. Jemisin. Now this one was interesting, and I don't want to delve too much into this because I don't believe it's my place to say, but I will point out that on these questionnaires where they start with their age and their name and what they wear and their clothes and their demeanor and all these kinds of things, no other questionnaire asked what was their race, except N.K. Jemisin, that I came across. And I think it's interesting because she is an African-American author, and a lot of the other people I was looking at were white. So I think it's a completely valid question, and I think I think I'm going to leave it there because I don't think I can say anything else about it, but I did notice it. One other thing she does is she has a character pyramid.
We had the demographics, the name, the age, the race, these sorts of things. And at the top, we had the goals and the fears and the self-actualization. But the middle part of the pyramid was the part that no other writer seemed to point out. And I thought it would be immensely useful for me and my story.
Can you see the pyramid? So we have where their role is in society, and we have their status in the society. We have their job in the society, and we have their power in the society. So if you're taking our society as a sort of situation, in the real world, my main character has very low status. She is a barista. You get her on YouTube and she has a certain amount of followers. She fits a little higher in the hierarchy. And she's looking to build that up, and she can build it up. There is room to move. Any small creator can make it big and have a viral video on YouTube. And so that's what she's after. And this was hugely helpful for me. And I think that it's something that's sorely lacking, so it's definitely something I put in my roundup of the best things I found in a questionnaire. Of N.K. Jemisin and her character pyramid, I feel that it is only worth it to say that I feel like we'd be remiss not to stop and talk about the fact that Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a really great way to come up with a journey for finding out where your character is on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then seeing where they go up and down. Obviously, they want to be down at the bottom, at the low point, and they want to be up at the top, especially in a thriller. One of the other things that I think is missing from all these is which hero you're writing about. Now, there are different hero archetypes. You have the classic, the epic, the tragic. What kind of hero is it? And for my story, she is definitely every hero. I want to figure out which of the heroes' archetypes your character is. Check out this playlist here. I still don't have a name for my character. Please help me out. Put some character names in the comments below.